Welcome to this video on tools and tips, specifically Google services, with a workflow that also uses TeraCopy and FolderSizes. This training was produced by the State Electronic Records Initiative in coordination with the Council of State Archivists. While CIRI does not endorse any company or product, these videos are intended to help those who maintain electronic records understand how certain tools can be helpful in the electronic record preservation process. When transferring records to the archives, Google provides a number of services that can be helpful, including Google Vault and Google Drive. Google Vault is an enterprise tool and is connected to email accounts managed by the enterprise. If someone uses a private Gmail account to conduct business, Google Vault would not be able to access it. Vault can be used to export content such as Gmail, Google Drive documents, and chats. Google Drive offers personal Drive accounts, which can be shared with others. Individual users manage their own Drive accounts. It also has formal shared drives, which are managed by an account manager for the enterprise, where an entire work group would have access. The manager would handle specific rights to content and allow or disallow the creation and naming of folders. If you or your IT department has access to Google Vault, you need to know how it works in order to obtain the best export of the data. Vault is located at vault.google.com, and it will let you log in if you have access rights. You will need to authenticate your account through your normal enterprise login. Vault will first ask to create a matter. While you could name the matter anything, usually the account holder's name of the account you are harvesting is sufficient. Then it will ask which service you are trying to search, Gmail, Drive, etc. Then it will ask which account you want to access, and date spans. You can do a search on the name of the person or their email address. You may also limit results based upon keyword searching or specific labels. If you want data from a specific label, you will need to know the full label path as assigned by the record creator, and Vault does not offer any help looking that information up. Vault will remember old closed accounts, so be careful you are accessing the right one if the name or address reflects someone else that currently or used to be part of the system. Also ask the record creator if their account name changed during their tenure. You can review search results to see the content of emails, which help in the appraisal process, to know if an account is worth keeping. If it is, click Export. When exporting search results, Vault will ask how it should name the results. Differentiate between service types so that the resulting zip files reflect what the data contains, such as the person's name-email or something similar. Vault will divide the contents into 10 GB chunks, so resulting files use your naming convention and will then append them with -1, -2, etc., followed by .zip. The .zip file will contain email in either mbox format or PST format, depending on your settings. After Vault creates the export files, you have only 15 days to download them, or the exports expire. If exporting Google Drive data, Vault will give you the option to include shared drives that the account holder had access to, as well as including in metadata access levels for those with indirect access to Drive files. The metadata that Vault produces includes file identifiers and checksums, as well as some descriptive metadata. Most of these files will use your naming conventions when downloaded, but the error file will not. You will need to rename it once downloaded, or it may be confused with another account's error log. Metadata for Gmail exports and Drive exports are different. Gmail metadata will include labels applied to email, whereas Drive metadata will not, unless this feature has been turned on by your enterprise system administrator. If labels have not been turned on, the metadata for Drive documents will leave the labels tag blank. Labels in Drive are not equivalent to folders like they are in Gmail, and cannot be applied to folders, only documents. Drive folders do not appear in the metadata file, so the structure of someone's arrangement is opaque. The only context that you can obtain from Drive as far as original order goes is in the numbered zip file containing the export. Drive will export documents in the order in which they are found, which means similar documents will be grouped together in the zip file. One option to get around the lack of labels in a Google Drive download from Vault is to instead ask the account holder to share their drive with you, so you could preserve original order. The downside to this is that you will need to individually download each top-level folder. If the folder contains a lot of material, this will take some time. In the example cited here, a former Utah governor's administration created a shared drive with their staff, organized into record series, that individuals uploaded their content to, and then the drive was shared with the state archives. When comparing what was uploaded to the shared drive versus what was contained in people's individual drives, not everything was uploaded. It did have the benefit of organizing records into groups that facilitate more efficient processing. Consider suggesting to your governor's office the benefits of creating a records management scheme and shared drive at the beginning of the administration to alleviate the scramble associated with transferring records at the end of the administration. When a record creator notifies you that they want to transfer records to the archives, you can choose to create a subfolder in a Google Drive space where you accept new accessions, and share access with the record creator until the upload is complete. This process does require good communication between you and the record creator, as sometimes there will be a delay between the time you provide access and when the user uploads content, or they might forget to include transfer documentation, or they don't let you know when they are done, or they think they will have continuous access. It is up to the record's creator to add more subfolders to organize the records the way they were originally organized. This may cause some confusion for creators that are unfamiliar with the Google environment. It's easy to share Drive folders or documents with others in the Google environment. First, navigate to the folder you want to share, then click the Share button. This will open up a window that asks for who you want to share the contents with. Provide as many email addresses as you need. Then you can determine what types of access these users will have, whether they can edit contents, view, or provide comments. The system will warn you if you are sharing content with those not part of your organization. Once shared, Google will send an email to the users informing them of their access. Once they click on the link to view the contents of the folder, they can use the Drive interface to upload content. When you need a place to store data and traditional storage options are not available or too expensive, Google Drive may be an option. Any one shared drive in the Google environment has limitations. For instance, it can hold up to 400,000 items of any size. Well, the size of any one file cannot exceed 5 terabytes, but that is way bigger than any file you would likely interact with. Due to performance, when drives get full, it is best to not push the upper limit for number of files. If you need more space, instead create another shared drive. Google will display up to 1,000 shared drives, but more are available via direct URL. Your IT department will likely be the resource to help you do that, as it is not a function given to regular users. There are some data limits in that an individual person can't upload more than 750 gigabytes per day. Use a naming convention on these shared drives to help you keep track of what their content is. While Google Drive can be a fine emergency storage resource, it is not intended for permanent preservation locations. It can, however, provide a working storage location for certain preservation actions. To interact with Google Drive as a drive mapped within Windows Explorer, use the desktop executable called FileStream, also known as Google Drive Desktop, which is a Google product. When uploading data via FileStream, it will maintain file creation dates better than using a browser and uploading files via Google's interface. For safest transfers, copy the data rather than move it. Once safely copied, you can delete the original. With access to a mapped drive, you may conduct preservation actions with the cloud-based data, such as running Baget on the contents or validating existing bags. Validating bags works best if you have a good internet connection. However, be careful before running preservation actions. First, ensure that Windows can see all content in Google Drive. Sometimes Windows doesn't sync properly, and even though the data exists in Drive, some files may be invisible. You might want to use other tools in addition to Google's FileStream option to transfer records. One such tool is called TeraCopy. This will make sure that the files have the same checksum before and after transfer. To use TeraCopy, open Windows Explorer to the source location where you want to copy from, right-click on the folder, select TeraCopy, and TeraCopy will open if not already open. Add the target location by browsing. Select the parent folder where you want to copy your source folder into. Check your options and click Copy to start. Wait for copy, verification, and sync with Google Drive Desktop to complete. You can load up the next batches into a queue, waiting to click Copy until the sync is done. If you receive an error, you can redo the copy. If a file was not found to be copied, or the target or source disconnected before copying and verification could complete, try copying again in the same batch, skipping what has already been done. Change options to replace all files if file size is different, as this will recopy any partially copied files. Click Next, then click Copy to start the batch copying again, but it will only copy missing or partial files. Click Next again. Lastly, click Verify to verify any newly copied files. This usually results in a green check, All Verified status for the whole batch. Another tool that is useful for data transfer validation is called FolderSizes. When you run this tool, it will give you the total number of files and the sizes of those files. To run it, right-click on the folder you want to analyze and choose Folder Sizes, then Folder Report. To confirm that a verified copy matches the original source, run a folder report on the source and the target, which works fine for Google Drive Desktop. Write down the results or export as reports, such as spreadsheets. Change the view to the byte level for the most detailed comparison. Compare the total folder size and number of files. Then take the appropriate next action, such as deleting the source if your intent was to move the data to a new location. If you'd like, create a folder size snapshot to save as preservation metadata. This concludes the Siri education video regarding tools and tips, Google, TeraCopy, and FolderSizes. We hope this has provided a general overview of how these services can be used in the electronic records preservation workflow. This training was produced by the State Electronic Records Initiative in coordination with the Council of State Archivists. The Council of State Archivists is a nonprofit membership organization of the state and territorial government archives in the 50 states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia. COSA began the State Electronic Records Initiative project in 2012 to address the long-term care and access of electronic records. For additional resources on electronic records preservation and management, please visit the State Electronic Records Initiative webpage.